Yeah, I have a question, and this is a thing that I always ask within my family, and I have my own answers, but I kind of want to hear your point of view as far as from your experience. But Filipinos, we're like conservative, right? Like our values is rooted in God family country. Why are our Filipinos Democrats? Like why? Like obviously I have my own answers, but I kind of want to hear you and your perspective, and maybe and even for our audience who may have thought about this but not really articulated in any fashion, and maybe it'll be a good way to after now it's holiday season to talk and to maybe reach out to the other side, and so like to understand why our Filipino community that is Democrats, why do you still think they're still Democrats?
Honestly, that's that's a good one because that's gonna be. I think the reason why, in terms in the beginning, the Dems did a really good job of reaching out to the Filipino community early, right? And and that's the reality of it. And now we're finding ways to really put our party in a way to compete and to reach out to our community in the most authentic. I like saying that because that's what we try to do and what we want to do as early as possible. And it's not like, hey, we're just making ads or making connections and making merch that says, hey, we're for the Filipino American community and you join us, right? It's like, how do we really get to the nitty gritty of what's important to the community and help them fix that, right? And so, but I think to answer your question and why Filipinos are still Democrats, I think, you know, being a Filipino, in my perspective as a Filipino, growing up in the Philippines and seeing how campaigns work in the Philippines, and people like the handouts, people like the free stuff that we can get, and and if the Democrats say, hey, we're going to give you this, we're going to give you that, why would you vote for them if you're coming from a country that is used to seeing like that? And I'm talking about in the most my perspective coming from the Philippines when I was registering to be a Republican or a Democrat. I'm seeing all these Democrats are saying, hey, we're going to give you an Obama phone, or we're going to give you, all these opportunities, but you're going to pay for it at the end. So, I mean, realistically, if you look at the other party, they're going to tell you, hey, you're going to have to work for your own stuff, but, we're going to provide an infrastructure that you can be successful in. Like, why would you want that over somebody who's going to give something for you for free that is dangling something that might get you in the back end, right? And so, personally, from my perspective, as when I was registering to be a Republican or Democrat when I was 18, those were some of the thoughts that I was thinking about. And, I just didn't want to be in that other side, I guess. And it's something that I've developed through the rest of my life, and, pick up your own bootstraps. And that's the American side that helped me mold myself into after coming from the Philippines. So,
Yeah, I agree. For the most part, like the Democratic machine is a machine, right? So like they were
yeah.
kind of first in, and so like Filipinos, we like brands, we like things that are flashy, and so like you're to your point, like they see something that's already established, and they're like, oh, we got to go with the things that's already there and all that stuff. So I can see that, like especially with like Filipinos who are still in unions, and so they feel like a little bit handcuffed, and so obviously there's also the messaging that's out there with just the mainstream media, and so like a lot of Democrats, Filipino Democrats, I see like on these Facebook groups, and like they just put out things from MSNBC, CNN, and so a lot of them can't delineate new information and information that is like more authentic and more accurate, right? And so some of it, like
Right.
to our brothers and sisters, like they just can't really, they're not there yet, and so they haven't been so hurt, they haven't seen the facade yet of what some of the messaging of the narrative is and everything. And so yeah, I just wanted to add on to our for our audience, like again, it's not like it's a good quote from Ronald Reagan. It's not that our liberal friends are ignorant; it's that they know so much that isn't so. And so again, it like we want our fellow Filipinos who are listening, like, hey, we believe in God. We go to church. We believe in our family. Like we have like multi generational families in our homes, and of course country, and we whether it's the Philippines or the U.S., I think we can definitely have a love for there. So I'll bring it to Rachel. Do you have any questions for John?
To be honest, I didn't know that Filipinos were actually conservative. Just so you know, Mitch, I was shocked when I found out you guys were all conservative. because I'm surrounded in my own family by a bunch of Democrats. I did not know my parents were Democrats. The way they spoke, I thought they were Republicans. I was a proud Republican since I was like 8, or even before I was 8 years old. I remember Ronald Reagan when I was like 4 or 5 years old. So my daughter's name is Reagan. He's my childhood hero. But it wasn't until like maybe 10, 15 years ago, I figured out my parents were not Republicans. They were Democrats. I didn't know that, but it's because they were loyal to LBJ's policy for the Filipinos. That's why. We do have a strong community, but what are like the first steps that we can do to mobilize? What have you seen work?
I think what the Dems do well in terms of this is they have really organizations that are on the ground to help them mobilize, right? And so that's where we get outspent on, because as the party can do so much, it's got to be other people within community leaders that are willing to take the charge. And I know a lot of times they say, hey, the party does this. And a lot of it is local, right? Our RNC will not ever going to make decisions. It's going to be happening in county level statuses. That's why we don't get involved in any of that stuff. We don't get involved in anything until post-primary. We help build the roads and help make sure that our Republicans have a good infrastructure. But so for us, in terms of Filipino American communities, we have to really challenge our community leaders, right? Not only our elders, but we got to be frank. I'm absolutely going to be frank. It's going to be depending on the 30 to 50 range within our community to step up, because now is the time for us to take it. I mean, the Dems, they're running the show for their Filipino American community with 20 and below, right? And so, those are the ones that are mobilizing, and then, the elders and the middle-aged folks are just really supporting them in their endeavors. And so I wish we could have that infrastructure in the Filipino side as well. That's what my suggestion would be, to help counter some of the areas where, if the party or any candidates can't be at yet, but we can get started. And so those are some of my suggestions, but it all comes down to your local community as well. If you've got, I know like in some areas, we've got groups of nurses that might want to help knock doors on weekends or make phone banks. And at the end of the day, those really do work, and that builds credibility, right? When you're out there and helping folks out, because you see how hard it can to win a vote or to earn a vote, right? And so being out there and really stepping up is the best way to do it, because everybody asks me, how am I going to be able to help out? You can either vote or, donate money to a candidate to help them win. But for me, I think the biggest thing for Filipinos is to step up.
Yes, thank you, Mitch. Thank you so much for your time. You can always use our open forum for anything you want. We are here for you. Thank you. Go ahead, John. Your last word to our listeners.
Thank you so much for having me on tonight. It's such a great conversation with you all. I really, really appreciate it. And, hopefully that you guys got to learn about some of the cool things that's happening across the country in our Filipino American communities there too that are conservative. And I do encourage you to keep reaching out to them and find ways to keep growing this, because we do need to make an impact within our communities. And very happy again to be here with you all tonight. And belated happy birthday to you, Tita Josie. Hope I can get to Las Vegas again soon enough and get to see everybody down there. Thanks for the time.
God bless. Don't forget, all Republicans, you have to vote this time. Vote for Trump.
And show up. Show up. That's the main thing. Show up.
Okay, bye-bye.
Thank you po. Ingat.
Okay. Okay, bye.